You've just sat down with a plate of hot food, and almost instantly, your four-legged companion appears. Your dog sits there, silent and patient, tracking every movement of your fork with eyes that make you feel like a villain if you don't share. You have always assumed they do this out of greed, or because they are hungry, right? The truth is, you've been mistaken. Behind that soulful stare lies a silent conversation that has spanned over 40,000 years, carrying questions about safety, pack identity, and a deep emotional need that most owners unknowingly overlook. What you are about to discover will completely transform how you feel during every meal shared with your loyal friend. Welcome to the dog loyalty community. If you're here, it's because you believe every dog deserves an owner who understands them. Let's grow closer to our best friends, one habit at a time. Let's decode the 7 real reasons behind this behavior, to understand that every scrap of food you hand over is not just nutrition. It is the most vital affirmation in a dog's internal world. The evolutionary program. To truly understand why your dog stares at your fork with such intense, unwavering devotion, we must journey back tens of thousands of years. Dogs did not simply materialize in our modern living rooms. They are the product of a profound evolutionary transformation. Long before they were our pampered companions, their ancestors made a pivotal survival choice. They transitioned from apex predators to opportunistic scavengers. These early canids survived by hovering around the peripheries of prehistoric human campsites. They learned that by waiting patiently near the warmth of human fires, they could secure life-sustaining scraps of meat, fat, and bone that were discarded. This survival strategy became hardwired into their genetic code. Over 40 millennia, this ancient program has not faded. It has simply migrated from the flickering embers of a primitive campfire to the edge of your polished mahogany dining table. When your dog locks eyes with your dinner, a primitive sector of their brain is still operating on that ancestral logic. They aren't just looking at a piece of chicken. They are executing a biological ritual that kept their species alive through ice ages and famines. Their internal monologue is a legacy of the wild. Remain still, stay close to the source, and eventually, the surplus will fall. Distinguishing true hunger from scavenger mode. As owners, we often experience a sharp pang of guilt when we see those sad puppy eyes, assuming our dogs are suffering from genuine hunger. However, canine behavioral science reveals a fascinating biological distinction between a dog that is nutritionally deficient and a dog that is simply in scavenger mode. A dog driven by actual, physical hunger is typically restless. Their body language is characterized by movement. They may pace, shift their weight from paw to paw, lick their lips repeatedly, or use their paws to physically demand your attention. This is the hunting aspect of their brain seeking an active solution to a deficit. In stark contrast, a dog running the ancient scavenger ritual exhibits a state of static focus. They sit perfectly still, their muscles relaxed yet primed, with their eyes locked onto the food in a trance-like state of total calm. This stillness is a tactical advantage. Scavengers in the wild learned that being unobtrusive yet ever-present was the most efficient way to receive a handout without expending precious energy. When you see this specific quiet stare, you aren't witnessing a plea for a missing meal. You are witnessing a sophisticated, ritualistic behavior designed to optimize the chance of a reward. Understanding this difference allows us to view the stare not as a demand born of lack, but as a masterpiece of evolutionary intelligence. The chaos of a dog's day. To understand why your presence at the table is so vital, one must first try to view the world through the eyes of a dog. From their perspective, your daily life is a sequence of unpredictable and often confusing events. You leave the house and return at varying times. You move restlessly from room to room. You vanish behind closed doors, or you become emotionally distant while staring at a glowing screen. For a creature whose entire emotional framework and sense of security revolve around the question, "Where is my human?" this constant fluctuation can create a baseline of underlying anxiety. They spend much of their day in a state of hypervigilance, forced to monitor your every micro-movement just to anticipate what you might do next. Mealtime as a sacred appointment. Within this context of daily chaos, your mealtime emerges as a sacred appointment, the most reliable and grounding event in your dog's world. It represents one of the few moments in the day when you are guaranteed to remain stationary for 20 to 30 minutes. During this window, you aren't leaving, you aren't working, and you aren't preoccupied with household chores. You are fully present at a fixed coordinate. Consequently, When your dog appears at your feet the moment you sit down, their motivation is rarely about the steak on your plate. They are reacting to the ritual of presence. To them, the fact that you are stationary means you are finally reachable, that persistent. Patient stare is actually a form of emotional replenishment. They are immersing themselves in your rare state of stability, using it as an emotional anchor to finally relax after a long day of following you through the unpredictable motions of life. In their mind, mealtime isn't just about food, it's the one time they know exactly where you are and that you aren't going anywhere. Masters of micro-expressions. An extraordinary fact within canine psychology is that dogs possess the ability to read human faces better than almost any other animal species on Earth. They are evolutionary geniuses of observation. Scientific studies have confirmed that dogs can distinguish between dozens of distinct human micro-expressions, often picking up on emotional shifts that even our closest friends might miss. From the moment they enter your home, dogs begin a lifelong process of cataloging your various states. They recognize your angry face, your worried face, your tired face, and your happy face. They observe you not merely to understand your immediate intentions, such as whether you are about to grab the leash or a treat, but to synchronize their own emotional state with yours. As social animals, their internal peace is directly tied to the emotional stability of their leader, the unarmored version of you. During mealtime, a significant biological shift occurs in the human body. You relax. As you begin to eat, your parasympathetic nervous system takes over, your shoulders drop, your jaw tension releases, and the accumulated stresses from work or the day's minor frustrations begin to dissolve. For those few minutes, you become the calmest and most authentic version of yourself. To your dog, this is one of the most beautiful versions of you they ever get to see. When they stare at you while you eat, part of what they are actually watching is you without the armor. Throughout the day, you wear a psychological shield to face the outside world, stress, professional focus, or social alertness. But at the dinner table, that shield is set aside. Your eyes soften as you taste something delicious, and a tiny content smile may play at the corners of your mouth. For a dog, witnessing this state of rest is a profound emotional reward. The meal itself is merely the container for the interaction. The true prize for them is getting to bask in your presence when you are happy and vulnerable. They aren't just watching your fork move. They are immersing themselves in the peace radiating from your relaxed features. To your loyal companion, your happiness is their safety, and seeing you at rest allows their own nervous system to finally settle into a state of tranquility. The logic of the wolf pack. This reason takes us back to the primal instincts buried deep within the canine brain. In a wolf pack, food is not considered an individual possession, but rather a collective asset of the group. When the dominant member of the pack, the leader, eats, every other member watches with intense focus. This action is not necessarily driven by hunger. Instead, they are gathering vital survival information. Is there enough food for everyone? Is the leader eating steadily and without stress? If the leader consumes food comfortably, it signals to the rest of the pack that they are safe and that there is a surplus of resources. The biological inventory check. Your dog has inherited this neural wiring completely intact. When you sit down to eat, an ancient part of their brain performs what can be described as a biological inventory check. That unwavering stare is not a form of judgment or a greedy demand. It is a fundamental threat check. Once they confirm that the world is still functioning as it should, the leader is being fed, food exists, and the pack is intact, something inside their nervous system settles. This explains why many dogs will watch you intently for the first 5 minutes of your meal, and then, having satisfied their instinctual curiosity, calmly lie down elsewhere to sleep. They have completed their survival protocol and now know that everything is perfectly fine. The canine scientist. One of the most fascinating aspects of this behavior is the sheer, raw intelligence operating behind it. Your dog is not merely sitting there in a vacuum of instinct. They are brilliant data scientists conducting ongoing psychological experiments on you. Over the course of months and years spent watching you eat, they have meticulously harvested a massive dataset centered around one specific question. At what exact point does my human's willpower break? They are keenly aware of which meals make you more generous, which days of the week you are more relaxed with the rules, and which physical postures they adopt result in the highest probability of receiving a treat. Optimizing the approach. This is not negative manipulation, but rather a display of high-level evolutionary adaptation. Your dog has essentially calculated that if they sit exactly 60 centimeters away, Maintain eye contact for precisely 8 seconds and tilt their head slightly to the left. The statistical likelihood of you sharing a scrap increases significantly. They have decoded your vulnerabilities, knowing, for example, that when you are distracted by the television, your defensive barrier is much lower than when you are sitting formally at the dining table. Every focused stare is the result of thousands of trials and behavioral optimizations. While you are simply enjoying your dinner, your four-legged companion has quietly finished reverse engineering your psychology. They have learned to read the subtle cadence of your meal, the way you put down your fork, or the specific sigh you give when you're almost finished, signaling that the payout is imminent. Recognizing this level of intelligence allows us to appreciate the depth of the bond. Your dog isn't just begging, they are deeply engaged in a complex social study of the person they love most in the world. Identity through shared meals. In the wild, eating together is a foundational pillar of pack identity. For a dog, being present while the group consumes food is a powerful way to reaffirm their connection. I belong to this family. When your dog sits at your feet during dinner, they are participating in an ancient ritual. They aren't just watching your fork, they are immersing themselves in the ceremony of the pack being whole, finding security in the togetherness of a stable social structure. The distress of exclusion. This psychological need for inclusion explains why dogs often whine or scratch at the door if confined to another room during mealtimes. To a dog's primitive brain, this is not just about privacy, it is a painful form of social exclusion. They aren't necessarily demanding your food, they are protesting being removed from the family circle. Exclusion signals a breakdown in the bond, leading to insecurity. Their silent presence by the table is a profound declaration of dog loyalty. They are simply asking for the right to be recognized as a member of the pack, proving that a sense of belonging is as essential as the food itself. Food is a proxy for love. In a dog's emotional framework, food equals love. Their first bond with their mother revolved entirely around being fed. When you share a scrap, it's more than calories. It's a confirmation that they are still valued and protected. The silent conversation. That patient stare is a silent question. Do you still love me? Am I still yours? When you meet their eyes and share a small bite, you answer in their primary language, yes. This tiny gesture provides immense security. Value that gaze. It is the world's most loyal friend, seeking an affirmation of the eternal bond you share. Every meal is an opportunity to strengthen dog loyalty. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss our latest content.